Just going to go over again one more time what's due for next week, and then that will be pretty much it. So again, this is your Studio Project 3, the branded 3D spot, also known as a commercial. So this will be your final project or final assignment in this class. You're gonna have 2 weeks to do this. So again, this is relating to a brand. I think everyone has that figured out by now. It should be in 3D or stylistically 2D. Just gotta let me know. So the animation is supposed to be from 5 seconds to 15 seconds max. So keep that in mind. That's the time frame that you have for your animation to tell your story that you're trying to tell. And you can include any extra elements, you want to do to communicate your idea better. So, have a scene, have multiple versions of your logo, have, a cool background. I think a lot of you have figured out how to add cool backgrounds into your projects now, which is really cool to see. So make sure you're able to communicate the idea that you're trying to tell, the story that you're trying to tell for whatever the brand is that you're working with. And then, I just have 30 frames per second, but if you want to use another frame rate, that's totally cool. Just let me know. So for next week, which is going to be December 9th. So again, I'll just double check that just to make sure. Yep. So December 9th, for 6 points, you'll be required to have the brand name and the outline, at least 3 bullet points. You can have more, but don't have any less than 3 points. So at least a beginning, middle, and end. And then a storyboard of at least 3 frames. So the 3 frames could be exactly what you have for your outline. Yes, go ahead. Oh yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, so if you have an idea but you're not quite sure of it, and you do want to ask about how you might want to go about creating it, you totally will have time next class in order to ask that question. I specifically have like a section for basically that. So yes, you will have time next class. And again, if anyone, during the week you sort of start, are curious about how you're going to sort of do your project, that is totally cool as well. So if you want to shoot me your questions earlier after you figure out what your brand is, that's totally cool. So you can ask me as early as you want, or you can wait till next class. What I do on the next class, so thank you for bringing this up because it makes sense for me to answer it, is I do like a mini sort of live dev session. So basically I take 10 to 15 minutes and I sort of, whatever questions you have, I sort of create as much as I can, sort of like a mini demo project for whatever your assignment is. Of course I won't do the full assignment. You do have to sort of figure it out yourself, but if there is something specific that you're trying to figure out that you're not quite sure how to do, that'll be your time to ask the question, and you will have sort of a project file that you can look with, that you can work with. So if you need to know how to roll a dice, or you need to know how to drop some pokeballs in a scene or something like that, that is something that I will be able to help you with next class as well. So thank you for asking that question. So after you have your brand and your outline, then you can jump to your storyboard. So again, 3 frames, which will be corresponding-ish to your outline. It doesn't have to be exactly the same ones, but it should just represent the idea of your story that you're trying to tell for your brand. And then the last thing is the look dev, which is mainly just sort of whatever your hero element is, in sort of some sort of scene setup. It doesn't have to be the final thing. It could just be sort of you found the logo and you figured out how to build it in 3D. That could totally count as sort of having your hero element in your scene, as long as you sort of have whatever that element actually is. So nothing too crazy in terms of that. Doesn't have to move or anything like that. And then for extra credit, if you want to do it, you can do an animatic using your storyboard. So if you want to take your storyboards, throw them in a timeline, and set them to 5 seconds, that can totally work as an animatic. If you want to insert other frames in order to help convey your story, that maybe that'll be a more sort of involved storyboard. So, there's different ranges of what you can do there, which is why the point ranges is sort of a variable there. So if you do a lot in your storyboard, you can get more points. If you do a little in your storyboard, you only get sort of little points for it. And then the same thing goes with the 3D animatic, which is basically sort of using your hero element and sort of blocking it out according to what you think your story will actually be. So basically making a 3D storyboard or 3D sort of previs for your animation. Again, it doesn't have to be final. It could change a lot by the final one, but that's something that you can do as well. And depending on how involved it is, there's a range of points that you can have for that as well. So those are the two things that you have for extra credit, and that's your sort of overall sort of assignment that's due next week before class starts. So that is due on the 9th of December. Again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them. No, I know sometimes everything might not be clear, or if you think of questions later on, please feel free to email me. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. So let me know if anyone has any last questions, either on this or any of your other assignments. So yeah, so last class will just be sort of the screening of the class of the different sort of projects that everyone's put together. And then we will also have sort of a game show prize, I guess sort of raffle questionnaire section where you'll have the chance to win some items, which is usually a pretty good time. I've done it with the past two classes that I've had. So that's what you have looking forward to the last class. But again, next week, first part of your project is what's going to be asked for you. If you have any questions throughout the week, just let me know. But that is going to be it for today, unless you have any questions and want to stay by. So thank you everyone for coming to class today.